Finally, a dream come true. What's up guys, Jogan here from the Crave Crew. Today, I'm talking about Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. I've been playing the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop game on and off for probably about 6 years now, I think. I've collected 3 different armies, and ever since I started, I've wanted a game like this. So, for a brief intro to the Warhammer 40k universe. In this universe, there's always war, and it's taking place during the 41st millennium. Now, there are many different races, each of which has its own style and its own strategies. This game only focuses on 4 races, really. Those are the Space Marines, the Chaos Space Marines, Orcs, and the Imperial Guard. The Orcs are the main enemies in the beginning of the game, and they're not very strong, but they have great strength in numbers. Their strategy is to just overwhelm their enemies. Now the Imperial Guard are like the Orcs of the Imperium, or the good guys. They also have strength in numbers. They're not really the strongest, their weapons aren't the best, but they use large squads, so they still have that strength in numbers like the Orcs. Then there are the Space Marines, or the Adeptus Astartes, who are pretty much the Emperor's badasses. The Space Marines are genetically and biologically enhanced superhumans who are about 7 to 8 feet tall and weigh, I think, about a ton with all their armor. The Chaos Space Marines are pretty much just Space Marines who have gone rogue and, as you would say in the game, fallen to chaos. Now, Space Marines and the Imperial Guard work together to serve the Emperor of the Universe, while Chaos and the Orcs are each on their own. However, Chaos does get a little help from Chaos Demons. Now, if you have any questions about the universe in general, leave a comment or send us a message or something, and I'll do my best to answer your question as soon as I can. Now, let's get to the game. The story behind the game was pretty fucking solid. It had a decent length, it wasn't too long, but it wasn't really that short either, and it threw in a couple nice twists. However, if you are familiar with the 40k universe, you may have seen some of the twists coming. Now, you play through the game as Captain Titus of the Ultramarine chapter of the Adeptus Astartes. You are joined by 2 squad mates. You have Leandros, who is pretty much a newcomer to the group. Now, I believe Leandros is just pretty much a normal Space Marine and still follows the Codex Astartes to the letter without wavering. And then there's the Sergeant, who is more experienced than Leandros, but still, obviously, not as high as Captain Titus. Now, your assignment in the game is to land on the planet Graia, which is pretty much just one giant factory, and secure a war machine called the Titan before the Orcs get to it. Now, the gameplay is pretty smooth, except sometimes when the game loads or saves, there is a little bit of lag. And also, at some points in the game, there are long stretches of just running through the level with no enemies to kill. These areas go by kinda slowly because your character moves slowly, but I mean, if you really think about it, he's wearing a shit ton of armor. So he really would not be moving that fast, even though he is superhuman. Also, along the same lines, there are a lot of cutscenes. And some of them play almost back to back with maybe a minute or 2 of gameplay in between. And then there are cutscenes that are just completely unnecessary. I remember one of them was just maybe 30 seconds or so of dialogue, which could have easily been integrated into the gameplay. So, I mean, that got kind of annoying since the game's a third-person shooter slash hack and slash combo. Games like this should almost always have enemies. While fighting the Orcs, there are usually enemies, and there's usually a lot of them. Now, when fighting the Orcs, you don't really need to use your guns all too much. You can usually just get through by hacking and slashing most of the time, which you need to do at some points. However, when fighting Chaos, you need to be able to shoot. If you just run in there and try and fucking slash him to death, you're probably gonna fucking die. Now, at some parts in the game, you and your 2 squad mates are highly outnumbered, and you need to hack your way through this green mass of orcs. Now, one feature of the game that helps with these situations is called Fury Mode. You both gain and upgrade Fury Mode as you progress throughout the game. Now, Fury Mode makes Captain Titus stronger and allows you to just destroy enemies with every slash of your chainsword. As you upgrade Fury Mode, you can use it for ranged weapons as well. When you do this, time actually slows down, and it makes it easier for you to get headshots on multiple enemies within just a few seconds. Now, the melee system, it's pretty simple, but it is efficient. You have the ability to stun enemies, and then after stunning them, you can perform an execution. Now, executions are brutal ways to end the life of your enemy. Each weapon has several unique executions, which are pretty fucking awesome. While there are also some universal executions, which are the same with every weapon. Now, performing executions is actually the only way to gain health back, which I think is kind of cool actually. It forces you to actually get into the middle of the combat, into the middle of the fight, which is what Space Marines really do. The only bad thing about this is while you're performing an execution, other enemies may still attack you and even kill you sometimes. What the fuck? Also, there are several times when I would press the B button repeatedly to perform an execution. Captain Titus stands there looking around. He's got a couple orcs around him trying to slash him. He doesn't give a shit. Now, sometimes the executions would, I guess, glitch a little bit, and the enemy might go through a wall or go through a fence or something while the animation continues. So it just kind of looks like I killed a ghost or something like that. The shooting system is also pretty good. I didn't really see anything wrong with it. Controls pretty much just your basic third-person shooter controls. Triggers to aim or zoom and shoot. Bumpers for grenades and reloading.